Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Formula One. I'm your host, Jamie, and we are back with my sister, Jac. Welcome back, Jac.
Hi, everybody. I am back.
Jac is back.
Jac is back. I've missed you, but Jamie's done some amazing episodes. I've listened to the Bro Sadie's episode twice because that just entire relationship is so fascinating to me.
I don't even think I included like everything that I could have included because I started while they were karting and they knew each other for longer than that.
Yeah.
I cut it down because I was like, this is going to be a 2-hour episode. we have to pare it down.
If you went into everything, it probably would have been one of the longest podcast episodes.
Yeah. We should do a part 2 eventually.
Yeah. Or we just like get a Twitch stream and then you just go on it because that's really what you would need.
I have several rants that I could go on Twitch.
Yeah. Speaking of your opinions, though, a couple of things have happened in the past couple of days that I do want to get your take on.
Absolutely.
Obviously, no race this week, so we're going to dive into other things. So something that is coming up is Pirelli versus Bridgestone for 2025 as a sole tire supplier for F1. FIA opened it up earlier this year, and now there's like quite a bit of competition between those two.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Last time, so Bridgestone was sole tire provider for Formula One in the early 2000s until Michelin joined, and then there was Tire Wars, which resulted in one of my favorite controversial Grand Prix of all time, the 2005 United States Grand Prix at Indianapolis. We will do a story on this eventually because I truly have such a hyperfixation on this race. But essentially, the Michelin tires were falling apart, which caused only the Bridgestone cars to start the race. And that was 6 cars. So Michael Schumacher won that race. Ferrari was the leading Bridgestone team. So this is like similar to IndyCar, how IndyCar has 2 engine providers, Chevy and Honda. At the time, there were the 2 tire suppliers and Formula One teams would pick. And before the US Grand Prix in 2005, Bridgestone was pretty far behind because that's the thing that can happen when you have multiple tire suppliers is one tire supplier gets it right and the other one doesn't. And then, it doesn't matter if you're on softs and the other team's on hards. Like if they have the better tire compounds, they're just going to win. But it doesn't sound like that's the case here. It sounds like they're not allowing for multiple suppliers, right? It's going to be the sole.
It's going to be one or the other, what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because up until recently, it seemed like it was really more of a formality that Pirelli's contract was up and that they were going to re-sign. But it sounds like Bridgestone has really made a compelling case for Formula One to start looking into. I don't have like huge opinions on either. I think, Bridgestone, I believe, is an American company. So maybe I'm putting my, team,
yeah.
Maybe I'm putting my vote behind the homeland. I don't know. I think Pirelli is European, though, I believe.
So Bridgestone is actually Japanese.
Oh.
So the real thing, from what I've read about it, there's not a ton of information out there around it, is that Bridgestone put out like a really cost-effective plan. And so that's where the issue is, at least from what's being released. Who knows what it is? If maybe the FIA just wants to make Pirelli sweat a little bit and they're like, we will go with you, but we have options, Yeah.
And I will say, which I think has been a critique of Pirelli for a while, it's the tires fall off so fast. And I understand that is part of racing, especially in Formula One. That's one of the things that's going to add excitement. You need stuff like tires that fall off so that you have to have, a better strategy when, that's really kind of sometimes all we got. But there becomes a point where 1, it's unsafe, and 2, it's just irresponsible. It's like, that the cars are going to get faster every year. Yeah. That you have to plan for a certain level of deg. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested. My dream scenario would be if we could do a Pirelli versus Bridgestone test.
Ooh.
I don't think that would happen, but that would be nice.
Definitely not leave that to chance, but how fun would that be?
Yeah.
And
Duke
for
sure.
Sure.
Like just duke it out, just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, and I know Pirelli, the drivers are very outspoken about how much they hate the full wets.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this gets their attention of we need something different there.
Yeah, the full wets need to change because the full wets are so terrible to the point that they're only used in conditions that the race then gets red flagged.
Yeah.
Like, so
literally like what happened? What was it? Spa? Yeah. They're all on inners and it's torrential downpouring.
Yeah. So they need to
I'm not switching.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be fun to go back to the era of like where they had the like multiple tire compounds beyond just hard, medium, soft, inter, wet. Like when they had the like ultra soft, ultra hard.
Yeah.
Like, do something different.
Bring those back. Those, I think that would be really fun and interesting to see strategy wise what teams do with. Yeah. Because I mean, and tires I could talk about tires all the time. I love the strategy with tires and how it goes into the race weekend. So maybe we just need to do an episode about tires.
Yeah, we can talk tires.
We'll talk tires. We'll talk tire compounds.
Tire talks. Tire talks. Yeah. I will say IndyCar's supplier is Firestone, and I think that would really confuse me if F1 went to Bridgestone.
Yeah.
Which one's the fire and which one's the bridge? I don't
remember. Okay, so we will just see how that turns out. Not fully F1 news, but Jamie, I know you definitely will have opinions on this. Zach Brown has added another brunette boy to his gauntlet of drivers. David Malukas is, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is now driving for Arrow McLaren next season for IndyCar.
Yeah.
And then Pato Ward, this came from information from She Loves F1. Shout out Michaela. She's at the IndyCar race this week. Pato will be going to a bunch of GPs this off season for IndyCar, and he will be driving some of the cars, he said.
Yeah, very exciting. So number one, the first one, very excited to have David Malukas joining Arrow McLaren. I think it's a very good move for him, regardless of how I feel about Zach Brown. I will also say, I mean, he lost a brunette on his roster with this drama that we talked about with Alex Palou. We talked about it in Dirty Air a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
So that's not like, I don't think they've announced that Alex Palou is not their reserve driver anymore for Formula One, but I would assume based on the drama and the fact that they're suing him for $20 million that he probably isn't. So yeah, another brunette. Is it brunette if they're a boy?
Is it different?
Well, I feel like you usually is like,
oh, like bachelorette.
Yeah, bachelorette. Cody Ko used to say Brune. So another Brune. But yeah, David Malukas also looks just like Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and he doesn't really look that much like Pato, but they all look like they could be related.
They all look the same. Brune is the French word for brown. The internet is torn. It also, I don't know what this says about my search history, but it took me my first result was Reddit. So
Reddit always has the answers.
You know what? We'll leave it up to everybody. I never thought about that. Brunette.
Yeah.
For boys.
Brunette. Well, his
brown-haired
army is still going strong. His brown-haired army of all men under 25.
Yeah.
Has grown/equaled after he lost one. So we will see.
He's like Leonardo DiCaprio. As soon as one of these boys turn 26, they're going to be out.
I'm pretty sure Alex Palou just turned 26.
No.
I think so.
I'm Googling that right now.
I think he is 26.
Oh, he's 26.
Yeah, that's got to be it because All the other ones are young. All the other ones are under 20.
Young. They're like 23, I think, around there.
It's just in Formula One exclusive. Zach Brown is the Leonardo DiCaprio
of the motorsport world. Oh my God. That's hilarious.
You cracked it.
We've cracked it. Okay. Final. This one's a doozy. He's been in the news for multiple things, and we're gonna try to quickly cover each one. Mr. Helmut Marko.
Ugh.
Talk about somebody you want to duke it out with. Starting off with, what we have to, I think, the Sergio Perez comments. He's come out and apologized for how it sounded. I'm pretty sure that's how he worded it. This is not his first time saying stuff about Sergio Perez specifically, or just saying problematic, offensive things.
We've talked about Helmut Marko making comments previously, comments like this, where it's not acceptable. It's completely unacceptable. The fact that this is not his first or second or third time saying something of this vein about Checo specifically is insane. That Red Bull has not done anything about this. They've not spoken about it is crazy. Completely unacceptable. And this is the behavior that he has shown. And it's all I can say is that it's unacceptable.
Yeah. And like you said, Red Bull has not put out any statement, anything. Helmut himself has come out and said that he apologized, but no one else is really saying anything in like the F1 world, which is also quite shocking, but who knows? Honestly, we're with you, Sergio. He's also, all of this is around Sergio Perez's contract, really, that's in his performance. He's really gone after Lando Norris recently in the press about how much he wants Lando and Max to be a team. But it's a shame, is how he phrased it, that Lando Norris's contract isn't up until 2025.
Yeah. So Red Bull has wanted Lando for a long time. This isn't news. Beyond the fact that Max and Lando as teammates is a terrible idea. It's a horrible idea.
Why do you say that?
Well, because Lando Norris is, not that I know him personally, but I don't believe he's going to a team where he's not going to be the number one driver. That doesn't make really much sense for him. So, and especially considering they're similar in age, that's how the situation I think is different between George and Lewis versus Max and another younger teammate like a Lando, or, we could say an Alex Albon. They would join that team and forever be behind Max until Max decides to retire, because Max will stay with Red Bull. His contract's till 2028, and then who knows? But this is not a situation like George where he's going to learn from Lewis for a few years and then Lewis will retire and George will become the number one driver. This is not a second seat that people are, that want to win championships are going to be jumping at, in my opinion. I also think the comments that Helmut makes in regards to contracts and driver performance specifically, not the other stuff, I do think they are a good litmus test for what the actual status is for drivers in Red Bull. Because as we know, we did an episode on this, contracts at Red Bull don't necessarily mean the driver is staying there. So the fact that the narrative up until kind of recently has been that they are keeping Checo and that Checo's, he's the one that they're putting all their, he's great, we love him. And now it's the shift is starting, and it always starts with Helmut Marko of now he's talking about other drivers. And now he's talking about Sergio's performance. And I think Daniel Ricciardo injury, I think, is throwing a bit of a wrench into this. But I would not be shocked if they make a change before next season.
That would be crazy. I mean, very on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But him thirsting after Lando is making me uncomfortable. But speaking of talking about other drivers, he's also talking about Liam Lawson, who has been driving for AlphaTauri for three, where he compares him to Bruce McLaren. And that he is clever during the battle on the track. Quote, Liam has been with us for a while and he is a very strong driver. He is clever during his battles on the track. He's a bit like Bruce McLaren. We definitely need to keep watching him for the future.
I mean, hey, congrats to Liam on that. That's quite the compliment. But
after two F1 races.
Crazy to say that after 2 races. And I know he has been with the Red Bull program for a while. I'm not sure how closely Helmut Marko has been watching him up until now. But this does bring up the Liam Lawson performance. And again, the Helmut Marko comments about the Liam Lawson performance bring up an interesting case for what is the 2 teams lineup going to look like. Fan Behavior F1 talked about this on their podcast. And their prediction
Zoe and Hannah. Shout out Zoe and Hannah.
Shout out to Zoe and Hannah. Their prediction is that the battle is actually not for the Daniel Ricciardo seat. It's actually for the Yuki seat.
That's a take.
Which, again, I think this does track. Which, looking at Yuki's performance, I personally think Yuki's performance has been super solid this year. But if you look at the way that they talk about him, the way that, like, every single time it's like, this is, quote, a new test for Yuki. Nick DeVries was a new test for Yuki. Daniel was a new test for Yuki. Liam is somehow a new test for Yuki. Like, it just never, they're just still constantly testing him. And especially with this Honda stuff, where Honda is no longer going to be with Red Bull after 2026. And Yuki is part of this Honda partnership. I could see the lineup looking something, at AlphaTauri looking something like Daniel Ricciardo, Liam Lawson maybe next year, which is crazy considering Yuki's performance.
Yeah. And it's just crazy too, because he's been there for so long.
Yeah. But you gotta,
like you said, crazier things have happened with Red Bull.
Crazier things have
happened. And their choices.
Yeah. I don't think we've heard the last of the Red Bull seat swaps. I don't think we've heard the last of it.
Oh, golly. Okay. Well, rounding it up, talking about one of our favorite people, I think, in Red Bull, in F1, excuse me, Helmut Marko is predicting that Sebastian Vettel will be coming back to F1.
Oh, this is like the only thing I've ever appreciated Helmut Marko opening his mouth about ever. Same. I hope he's right about that.
Yeah. He did say, though, in his comments that he probably will have a very hard time coming back to Red Bull. He probably won't be able to come back to Red Bull with Max there.
I don't think that makes any sense.
I don't think Sebastian would really want to come back there.
I think I could see Seb coming back with Audi, like a Schumacher returning with Mercedes situation.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see.
Anything to get him back on the grid. That works for me.
I miss him so much.
It works for me.
It works for me. Do what you need to do, but come back.
Yeah. He was driving this week at the Red Bull event at the Nürburgring, and he drove his RB7. It was great. I was like, I hope he's getting like sad. Yeah. Like, come on, come back.
He needs to get nostalgic about all of it. They are definitely laying it on with him driving like his old car, and for sure.
Yeah. But I don't think I don't know why Helmut would even bring up him coming back to Red Bull. I don't think that's anything anybody's really thinking about. I think he'd come back with like an Audi, like a new team, be the experienced person like he did with Aston Martin, providing that advice for development and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks for your takes, James.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. You want me to talk about my opinions and the people that are on my list? Oh, anytime.
Anytime. Just give us a time or place.
But should we get into today's topic, Jax?
Yeah, I'm excited about today's
Yeah.
topic.
So Jac's actually picked today's topic.
I did.
But the sources for today are GP Blog, Racing News 365, Talk Sport, Sky Sports, and GP Fans.
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Well researched.
Yes.
But, so coming off of, Monza weekend, Ferrari fandom, another thing that goes on at Monza and something that is kind of been a trend as of recently is lots of trends in results. Maybe some curses in results. So we have highlighted a few of the latest and greatest curses. Some have been broken, some maybe not yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to chat through a few of these.
We are your Mythbusters this week.
Mythbusters. We are playing Mythbusters.
Yes.
This week with a few curses.
Yeah.
Number one curse. First one, because it starts with the first race of the season, Bahrain curse.
Bahrain's a brutal one.
So the past 6 seasons, the Bahrain curse has rung true. And essentially what the Bahrain curse is that the winner of the first race of the season in Bahrain, or the winner of the Bahrain race, always finishes second in the Drivers' Championship. So since 2017, the winner of the opening race has not won the championship.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
They come in second.
Yeah.
Every time.
So 2017, Seb Vettel, our guy, wins in Bahrain and then comes second in the Drivers' Championship to Lewis Hamilton. Same exact setup in 2018. Seb wins the race, but second in the championship to Lewis. 2019 and 2020, Valtteri Bottas wins in Bahrain, but then loses the championship to Lewis. In 2021, sad. Lewis wins in Bahrain, but loses the championship in the final race of the season at Abu Dhabi.
Great season, though.
Great season. Great season. Traumatizing last few laps.
The Abu Dhabi, I'm learning to love it again after that, but
yeah. And then 2022, our most recent full season of Formula One, Charles Leclerc.
Yes.
Fantastic performance in Bahrain. Drivers' Championship, not so fantastic. Max Verstappen wins the Drivers' Championship.
Do you remember in Drive to Survive last season, they open it up, they do the Bahrain race, and they have that cold shot, like the coldest shot where it's the two Ferraris. I think it's Max who's DNF'd, who's just on the side, and they're just like in formation.
Yeah, because Red Bull had a really tough start to 2022. They had a double DNF.
Really tough start.
Yeah. That clip is like I think definitely one of the best clips that Netflix has ever gotten.
Oh yeah, and they're writing that.
Oh my god! I the way they use that over and over again, and I was like, respect, because this is iconic.
Yeah.
But so this year, Max won in Bahrain, and the question was, is the Bahrain curse going to reign true? I don't think it is. Okay, granted, the season is still going on, but okay.
Technicalities.
The amount of absolute horrifying chaos that would have to happen for Max Verstappen not to win this championship. Like, I think I don't even know what could happen. There would have to be like a laser on his car that would just like shut it down every race. And
he would have to DNF. There's no way.
You'd have
every
to
weekend.
Every weekend.
I don't know if it is possible. They come off, I think people are also hoping, because it was a Red Bull 1-2 at Bahrain, that it was going to be similar to like Ferrari last year, because Ferrari as a whole didn't do well. Yeah. So they were kind of like, let's go. Red Bull, eat it. And it hasn't really happened.
Yeah. So I think as the F1 curse Mythbusters, that's a mouthful.
That's a lot.
I think we can officially say that this curse has been broken and this myth has been busted.
R.I.P. 2017 to 2023. I think we can say that.
On the off chance that we're wrong and some crazy stuff does happen,
that would be an incredible end of the season.
yeah, that would be some great races. I'd be okay with being wrong.
Oh God.
But up next, and I believe the curse that inspired this episode, Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong. Monza. The Monza. Monza. So the Monza curse is, since 2019, the winner of the race has DNF'd the following year.
Also crazy.
So begins with Charles Leclerc. He wins in Monza in 2019. It's that famous clip where it's like, Mercedes threw everything at him today. Yeah. Charles Leclerc. I watch that sometimes when Ferrari's doing bad. So a lot.
It's on one of those TikTok sounds that will just play all the time, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's good.
So good.
Oh, I might watch that race.
Just to feel some Ferrari happiness.
Yeah. But the following year, Charles DNFs in 2020 with a first-time race winner, Pierre Gasly, winning in 2020. And 2020 obviously was a strange season. I wonder why. What happened in 2020? But the race in Monza was no different. There were 4 DNFs in the race: Max, Seb, Kevin, and Charles.
Yeah.
So big names, which is, again, this is, the Monza curse also results in some really fun race winners like Pierre Gasly.
Yeah. It was his first race win and AlphaTauri's first race win, which just, I also watched that podium. I watched a lot of the Monza podiums again.
They're special.
They're so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go watch that too.
We'll just rewatch all the Monza.
I'm just gonna stay up all night tonight rewatching Monza races.
Yeah. If you ever want to feel happy, just rewatch the Monza podiums. Yeah. Honestly.
Because Carlos was second in the 2020 race, and that was also very exciting.
McLaren. He was in his blue suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just those blue race suits.
Yeah, those were good. Yeah. But then 2021 rolls around, back in Monza, Pierre DNFs along with 4 others.
Yeah.
And Daniel Ricciardo leads McLaren to a 1-2 finish and their first win in about 10 years, if you listen to our McLaren history episode.
Yeah. AKA, we got a shoey podium, baby.
We got a shoey. And Zach Brown got a tattoo.
Did he?
If you recall, so Zach Brown, I'm not sure if he still does this, but at a certain point, he would make bets with the drivers of, if you get either a podium or a win, I think it's a win, you can ask for something, basically. And Daniel was like, I want you to get a tattoo. So Zach Brown on his arm, on his upper arm, has a tattoo of I believe it's of the Monza race result.
Oh my God. We will find that and post that on our social media for you guys. I did not know that.
Yeah. And that's also, I think it might be podium, because did Daniel finish on the podium with McLaren at another point?
I thought so. Yeah.
If he did, then I think it is a podium thing, because then Daniel also got to drive, I think it was Dale Earnhardt's car around COTA. And I think that was a treat that he got because he was doing well.
A treat.
Good job.
I love that.
If not, it might have just been a treat, but who knows?
Daniel deserves a treat for sure.
We can't talk about him. We get so
emotional. Back to the curse.
But then in this past season, 2022, happened again. Daniel Ricciardo DNFs right at the end of the race with a mechanical failure, and 3 other drivers also DNF, leading Max to win in Monza in 2022. And his first Monza finish since 2019. It was not a great racetrack for him.
Isn't that crazy? He hadn't finished a race since 2019. He'd been a part of all of those DNFs. Yes. So not only to come off a DNF run, but to win it.
Yeah.
That must have felt pretty good.
What a return. But so he won in 2022. So heading into Monza weekend, everyone was like, Max is going to DNF. And then Carlos got pole and everyone was like, oh my God.
It's happening.
And then he didn't DNF and then he won.
And then he won. And then Red Bull got a 1 too.
Red Bull won too. Carlos was on the podium. Yeah. And if you want to know the history of Ferrari and why Monza is so special to them, last week's episode.
Yeah.
But in terms of this part of Monza, the Monza curse, I think we consider this curse busted.
Busted. For sure. Busted.
And the strongest of them all. The one with the absolute numbers behind it.
What, like crazy numbers. I could have gone back further for this one, but it would have taken too long.
Yeah. This one has legs.
Yeah.
The Nico Rosberg curse. The Nico Rosberg selfie curse.
Yes.
And, we love Nico Rosberg here.
We do.
Go back to our Brosades episode. Learn a little bit more about him.
We love him.
He's a tortured soul.
He is.
But essentially this curse is every time Nico Rosberg posts a selfie in front of a driver's garage or with a driver's car, some bad stuff happens to them.
Yeah. So it's honestly turned into whenever he just shows support for a driver or a team, it goes poorly.
It's also because he found out about it, which makes me feel bad.
No.
So then it was, which I think we'll get to. We'll go through the timeline. But in Monza, he just posted like the whole grid with no cars on it. And he just said Forza Ferrari. And then people got mad at him again because they were like, oh, no.
And he was in an interview, which we'll also get into. But he said, I tried to do a neutral background. I really did.
I feel so bad for him.
Oh.
Just let him in his tan suit do whatever he wants.
Yes.
But so going through some examples of the Nico Rosberg curse, at the Hungarian Grand Prix this season, Nico posted a photo wishing Max good luck in quali. And then in quali, Lewis Hamilton gets his 104th pole and his first pole in over a year.
Yeah.
So then Nico on race day is like, way to go, former teammate / former best friend. Good luck, Lewis. And then Lewis has this horrific race. He's running P20 at one point, finishes 4th, but still.
It was a bad race. It was not good for him.
No. And then we get to Monza. Nico predicts pole for Max. He's like, yeah, surefire, Max pole. And then Carlos gets his first pole of the season. I'm pretty sure it's only his second career pole.
Carlos?
Yeah.
Maybe. That's so, oh my God, that's so special for him. I love that.
It's exciting. And at the home race.
Monza.
But oh my gosh, Nico.
Yeah.
And then we talked about this a couple minutes ago, but on race day, post Forza Ferrari. And then they're starting first and third. Charles Leclerc starting third. And the race ends. Red Bull 1-2, Carlos 3rd, Charles Leclerc 4th. So not like too bad, but still.
Not as bad as others have been.
Yes. And so this curse is no joke.
No joke.
Some teams take it more seriously than others. McLaren has actually added on their garages a no Rosberg selfies sign, which we will post on socials.
It's so good.
Which again, it's so funny. And then Nico responded and was like, haha, I'm going to your factory. But I'm like, don't bully him. Be nice.
But wait, it's crazy. So they did that for the Belgian Grand Prix. Yeah. Right. They posted because McLaren's admin, their socials are 10 out of 10. Always. They're so good. Norris then ends up 7th and Oscar DNFs that GP. You can't joke about it. This is very serious.
I don't know what witchcraft Nico has performed, but the power has returned to him. It's like he's allowed back in the paddock now, and it's like all bets are off.
Yeah.
Just chaos. So the final say on this one, Nico has said he's going to try to use his powers to end Max's winning streak in Singapore. So that will, I guess, we'll see how it works out. I don't know if he has that much control over his power, though.
I think it's now that he's trying, if he's going to try to do it, it's one of those things where you try to do it and it never works.
You know, I feel like the curse, the Nico Rosberg curse, it's almost like, you know, Elsa before she learned how to manage her powers and she had to run into the woods. I feel like it's that. Like, I don't think he can just like use the force.
Yeah.
I think it's more the curse happens when it chooses to happen. But we'll see.
Curses. You can't control it.
But this one, I think we can say it has not yet been busted. It's alive and well.
Alive and well is a great way to describe it. And we just hope that, you know, if he can control it, he uses it for good and not evil. Mm-hmm. That's all we can say. Stay
away from Carlos's garage. Nico, I would like to invite you to George Russell's garage, my enemy.
You should go back to Mercedes, Nico.
Leave Lewis alone.
Leave Lewis alone.
But Jax, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, speaking of Lewis, actually, one curse that we really haven't seen this season is the Lewis thirst trap to unemployment timeline curse.
Yes.
One that has claimed so many last season. Yeah. And not only drivers are at risk, everyone is at risk with this one.
No one is safe.
No one is safe. Some of the instances last season are Sebastian Vettel retiring in July, Daniel Ricciardo losing his seat at McLaren in August, Nicholas Latifi losing his seat at Williams in September. Hope that NBA is going well for you.
We miss you, Nikki.
We miss you. Mick Schumacher losing his seat at Haas in November, and Binotto, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, resigning from his post as Ferrari team principal also in November.
Yeah. Essentially, what this curse is Lewis Hamilton posts a shirtless photo, and then someone gets fired.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Crazy.
Someone is without a job. We somewhat saw it happen this year. Lewis posted a shirtless pic at Coachella, as one does. And then Mercedes announced that James Allison and Mike Elliott are changing roles. So James Allison is now the technical director, and Mike Elliott is now the technical chief officer. So final say on this one, kind of, it's alive.
Well, also, I think we don't have enough data this year because there hasn't been much in terms of like silly season or people getting fired. We haven't had too much of that this year. Like we had a whole chaotic silly season, and then we had a whole team principal silly season. So we had a lot of data to collect.
Yeah. Lewis probably has recognized his power and is keeping it under wraps, I think.
Yeah. You know,
that's got to be what it is.
It is funny though, because every time he posts a shirtless picture now, everyone on Twitter is like, who's getting fired?
Who's fired now? Yeah, so that's one that we really haven't seen this season, but it's still one that just makes you giggle because it still has a hold on the F1 community for sure.
It's so funny that these two besties both have curses related to Instagram.
Oh my God. I didn't recognize. Yes, 100% true.
Yeah. Do you think Lewis knows about his?
He used to post a lot of shirtless selfies. He has to know.
I mean, he seems pretty online.
Yeah. He seems hip. I've seen his old Twitter posts.
Lewis Hamilton, if you're watching, can you tell us?
Yeah, do you know? If I ever meet him, that's my one question. Lewis Hamilton, do you know that there's a curse related to your thirst traps?
Yeah, I do. Has he been thirst trapping less lately?
I think so.
He's been on Instagram less.
I don't think he's really, he posted like, well, I think he's trying to portray that he's like this, he's getting really serious about driving. And I mean, he always has been serious, but just being really serious and really focused. Like he was on a yacht on a Peloton, but he had his shirt on. So not really thirst trapping.
Who wears a shirt on a Peloton on a yacht? I mean, come on.
Who's working out on a yacht? That's what I want to know.
That's true. If I was on a yacht, I would not be on the Peloton.
I would not be on the Peloton.
I'd be horizontal.
Horizontal, because I would be just doing liposuction. That's it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't need anything else.
Just lounging.
Just lounging.
So we'll see about this one. I mean, we still have a little bit of silly season stuff going on. Yeah. So we'll see if Lewis predicts any of it.
Yeah, there's still some seats up for grabs for 2024 specifically. Let's see. He should just throw one out there and see what happens for science.
I think it would also be funny if he had, like, if it was something going on with, like, he had the info before and he knew it was coming out and he just started posting shirtless selfies right before news comes out.
Yeah.
Just to keep the myth alive.
As it should.
Yeah.
It has to live on. As Lewis will live on in the F1 community, his curse will also live on.
Yeah. So we will see. But those are our favorite curses. If we missed yours, let us know. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And we will be back to talk to you next week. That's all we've got for you. Be sure to follow us at
Family One. Yeah. On TikTok, Instagram. And we have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
If you want to watch us giggle in silence, that's usually what you miss by only listening to us.
Yeah. You can watch us have this conversation that we're saying to you right now.
Yeah. And all the links are in our bios, so you can it's all in one place.
It's all in one place. We got a cute little link tree ready for you to click away.
Yeah.
So we will be in touch with you via Instagram and TikTok throughout the week, but we will talk to you next week. Have a lovely, lovely week.
Yeah, and have a good Singapore GP. We're excited for it.
Yes, we will be talking to you after. So we'll see if Nico's curse can be harnessed for good.
We'll see.
Alrighty. Love you. Bye.
Bye, guys.